If you guys remember last year, I said a detuned Hellephant was coming in a final Challenger. And surprise, surprise, Dodge unveils 2 baby Hellephant engines at SEMA. I thought it was April Fool's, but here we are in November. But there are now 4 Hellephant engines and 2 of them have E85. The current word around the campfire is that an E85 tuned final edition is coming. It'll have some kind of electric supercharger, but it's also blowing engines mysteriously.
And you're really paying attention.
It just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. With 6 stickered up final editions, I see the 7th edition being a demon with some baby Hellephant parts and maybe a direct connection kit. They'll probably do some trickery with a supercharger similar to this feature right here.
PowerShot is an on-demand system that maxes out battery discharge and gives you an additional 25 horsepower and knocks a full second off the RT 0 to 60 time.
Now let me start with this $60,000 1,500 horsepower engine from Dunn Schumacher Racing. Now it's going to make sense in a second, but it seems like Dodge is just throwing up the most expensive, most ridiculous things on direct connection. $60,000 for just a crate engine from a third party. Now remember at Speed Week, Dodge was mute in announcing how much the carbon fiber Charger, Roadrunner, and Cuda body would be. I revealed shortly afterwards that the shell for these cars will cost an eye-watering $200,000 and that a turnkey car would be almost $500,000. And just like with this Dunn Schumacher Racing engine, the bodies are not made by Dodge but a third-party vendor, and the prices are just crazy high.
And you're really paying attention. And you're really quick with the math.
I'm just sitting here waiting and waiting to see when the price is going to be dropped for SpeedCore's carbon fiber panels. Now looking at SpeedCore's website, the prices for some of these components are very, very, very pricey. But if you want a cheaper alternative, Anderson Composites basically makes the same components for around half the price almost. Now the Hellephant that was released a few years ago was $30,000. I don't see it costing an additional $30,000 to gain 500 horsepower and that Dunn Schumacher Racing 1,500 horsepower engine. But the majority of us would never consider buying this engine in the first place. And I bring these high prices up because I have a sneaking suspicion that the 7th Foundation car will be kind of like a showcase of how we can build all our cars through direct connection. I'll explain more as you watch this video, but I wanted you to ask yourself this question. Does it make sense for Dodge to break the bank on a couple hundred cars that are destined for the history books and not recoup any of the R&D costs? Think about all the vehicles that benefit from the creation of the Demon, the Redeye, the Superstock, all the wide body cars. Think about that. Now the Hellephants. I caught wind last year of a detuned Hellephant that was coming, and that's why I said in a video like this one right here that I can see a detuned version that'll make around 900 horsepower in a final car. And lo and behold, we have a baby Hellephant, the C30 version in the 900 horsepower range, like I said. Now my sources told me of the one smaller engine, but I didn't know anything else about his new friends as well. Now if you've been hiding under a rock for SEMA, there are now 4 Hellephants, 2 iron block versions and 2 aluminum block versions. Now the 2 iron blocks are not 426s, they are 376s. I'm pretty sure they are the same block that we're used to that comes with the 6.2 Redeye Hemi version. The only information I can find about these iron blocks, it all talks about the internal, and all it keeps saying is upgraded parts, but I don't see any information about the block. So I think Dodge took the Redeye block, added some beefier internals, threw in the 3.0 liter Hellephant blower on top of it, and we have a baby Hellephant. Of the 2 iron block baby Hellephants, one of them runs E85. That one will make around 1,000 horsepower, and the non-E85 version is going to run 900 horsepower. Now the third engine that we all know is the former Hellephant 426 that sold out a few years ago. Now that's going to return still pulling 1,000 horsepower. Then we'll see an upgraded E85 version that'll make around 1,100 horsepower with an upgraded fuel system. Now with all the rumors of electronic supercharger blowing engines lately, I'll say the same thing I said last year. I think one of those detuned baby Hellephants is going inside the 7th final edition, and that might be why the engine is blowing. It just makes too much sense at this point. Plenty of people have 1,000 horsepower plus builds on just regular Hellcat blocks, and I find it hard to believe they cannot get an E85 tuned car to not blow several engines. Every tuner shop in the country would be out of business if they were constantly blowing Hellcat blocks. What would make sense is Dodge trying to throw E85 on some of these new Hellephants, and that could be why it might take so long for some of these versions to come out, because they're popping engines, especially with this new Supercharger. Now, after watching videos of this supposed electric supercharger system, I am very skeptical. You have people falling hook, line, and sinker on some of these sticker pack final editions, and I'm supposed to believe that Dodge is going out with a bang on this 7th edition with an electric supercharger?
And you're really paying attention, and you're really quick with the math.
Dodge never made an all-wheel drive or hybrid Hellcat in 7 years, but now all of a sudden, after SRT is disbanded, an electric supercharger is going in the final car? So I reached out to some sources, and the only confirmation I could get is that they are working on a new supercharger that won't compromise performance. If this is a new electric supercharger, I would love to see where Dodge is going to squeeze a battery pack for this. I mean, are they going to throw it in the trunk and probably get rid of H&K subwoofer? But in the end of the day, I don't see this being some big revolutionary or such an amazing send-off that some people are going to be thinking about. I think the 7th edition is simply just going to be the return of a Dodge Demon, which is probably where they got this whole Demon lottery idea from. A baby Hellephant, like I said last year, with an E85 tune. And if they do happen to bring out an electric supercharger, I'm guessing it's going to be a direct connection kit in order to recoup R&D costs. It's way too late in the game for Dodge to reinvent the wheel and lose money on only making a few hundred cars. I think Dodge going right back to the parts bin yet again and do something simple, maybe like a 48 volt like compound boost setup to spool the supercharger for some 10-second quarter-mile bursts, just like the PowerShot push-to-pass system that's going in the Hornet hybrid vehicle. I'm going to guess that Dodge took the etorque generators off maybe the 5.7 Hemi engines, or maybe parts of the 4xe system from Jeep, and instead of powering a hybrid transmission, they used the 48 volt system to throw additional boost into the supercharger. It doesn't make sense for Dodge to spend all these R&D dollars at the end of the platform for only maybe a couple hundred 7th Foundation cars. Even with the Super B Final Edition, Dodge made 1,000 cars from basically leftover super stock and 1320 parts for this Charger. Every other Final Edition is nothing but stickers, badges, and none of them have any performance boost. If you checked out this video, I broke the numbers down. A King Daytona accounts for 40% of Charger Redeye production. The Black Ghost accounts for over 31%.
If that wasn't enough, and you're really paying attention, and you're really quick with the math, and you paid attention to the cars outside,
it seems more than likely with the high percentage production tied up in those two Final Editions that Dodge need to get rid of parts out of their parts bin, and I don't see Dodge making a very special car when their hands have been tied behind their backs ever since Stellantis has existed. Everything with Stellantis is now going subscription based or direct connection everything. My gut feeling is this 7th edition car is getting that baby Hellephant like I was told last year. I'm pretty sure this Hellephant is just a Redeye block with some upgrades, E85, and throw in a hacked version of the etorque or maybe the 4xe system to spool the supercharger. And most likely to recoup R&D costs, this system could more than likely be a stage kit for people who have the money to upgrade to 6.2 Redeye high output Hemi. So anyone with Redeyes, super stocks, and Demons. Of course, I believe the 7th edition will come with this stuff exclusively for a while, but it just makes too much sense for Dodge to make this a stage kit for people to build their cars through direct connection with. They already have Redeye internals, cylinder heads, rear diff, Hellephants, wide body kits, blowers. Almost every technological upgrade used in developing the Demon has filtered its way down through the years to other models. So Dodge has recouped its R&D costs for the Demon, so what's not to say that Dodge does the same thing with the 7th Final Edition, but now instead they use direct connection and power brokers to keep getting money out of customers they know that they will lose when they gotta go EV heavy. Because Dodge's main goal is millennials.
with the highest concentration of millennials, with the highest spending power of any generation. millennials also have the highest acceptance rate of EVs.
But let's also look at all the clues that Dodge has dropped pointing towards this final edition. Tim Kuniskis says that Dodge pride themselves on making all the cars look alike, so I don't see some grand styling updates as some people were saying.
And that's why we make our cars all look the same, which a lot of people disagree with. Why does a $90,000 car look very similar to a $40,000 car? Probably a bad idea. No, not for us, because whatever power level your budget allows, I want you to feel like you're part of that same club, part of what we call the brotherhood. It's not marketing. We want everybody to feel that way. Whichever one you can afford to get into that club, we want you in.
We keep hearing direct connection to build your cars,
Because we've always had an obligation to make a direct connection between the Dodge brand and its resources and the gearheads, enthusiasts, and the brotherhood that make us who we are today. And our Power Broker program was born really as kind of a badass concierge. And we're going to lean on that channel very hard to deliver all of this for you. And we're going to amp up all of our direct connection stuff. Now, for the most of our direct connection stuff, it's going to be available for years and allow tens of thousands of customers to keep working on their muscle cars that they already have right now. We need to help you build them. So we've beefed up the direct connection catalog to do exactly that with some of the parts you're going to need. First one, you've been asking for this a lot. Torque Flight 8-speed transmissions, HP 70, and then soon after that, HP 90 for those of you that want to run a lot more power. The other thing you've been hounding us for is direct connection supercharger kits, 2.7 and 3-liter kits. And you don't have to cobble these together looking through our parts catalog and trying to find all the parts and pieces to make them work. These are complete bolt-on kits. This is the Hornet GLH from Direct Connection and my new best little friend. This thing is a blast. Straight from Direct Connection with an increased performance stage kit, lowering kit, and dual exhaust. But what I can tell you is it will share another very familiar Dodge exclusive, Direct Connection. We're also developing 9 power levels through Direct Connection. You're going to have 9 total power levels on this car. And all of those power levels will come standard with our exclusive PowerShot push-to-pass system.
50% of them modify their cars today. So at SEMA, we're going to show you a different flavor of this, different look, feel to this car. And we're also going to talk about how and why we launched Direct Connection well in advance on ICE so that we could transition to electrification with Direct Connection, because people are going to want to modify their cars regardless of what's, pushing them.
we've seen rumors come out of E85 being used in a foundation car. I said last year that my sources told me of a detuned Hellephant, and here we are with 2 smaller displacement baby iron block Hellephants, and one of them will have E85. Tim Kuniskis says in the article that Dodge can make a 1,200 horsepower Hellcat if they wanted to. Ralph Gilles says that they can make a 1,000 horsepower car just last year with a combination of electrification and gas.
First question to you. Will we see a production car with over 1,000 horsepower from FCA or one of its competitors before 2025?
So, but it may not be in the way that you think. It might be a combination of electrification and gas. I'm not going to commit exactly which brand, but something along those lines.
Dodge tunes Wesley Motorsports Charger Redeye with an E90 tune to run Pikes Peak, and as far as we know, that engine is not blowing any engines that we know of. Remember the Easter egg I pointed out in this video about the boost number in the stage kit controller. But as I said in other videos, I find it hard to believe that Dodge waited until after Speed Week to finally do a durability test and blew that many engines in only a few weeks. I honestly believe that it's most likely CARB compliance that is the issue with this car, and I wouldn't be surprised if mysteriously the stage kits became available right around the same time this car is finally revealed. I just don't see any Demon lottery system or some advanced hybrid Hemi drivetrain showing up in this final car. Dodge hasn't done anything to curb dealers asking for these outrageous market adjustments on the 2023 last call cars. Tim Kuniskis just confirmed a week ago there is nothing they can do with how laws are currently set up. So again, I'm supposed to believe that Dodge has come to save us from dealers by only offering Demon owners a shot at owning the 7th edition car. Is Dodge going to direct sell to customers, which they aren't allowed to do, to prevent dealers from throwing last minute markups that I covered in this video recently? Is Dodge going to copy Ford and there was going to be some kind of Ford GT-like interview system to pick new owners, but Dodge couldn't pick a chief donut maker a few months ago that actually likes Dodge.
Kind of give you my 3 reasons on why I chose to not purchase a Dodge for another vehicle. I had an opportunity to buy a Hellcat. I had an opportunity to buy actually a Redeye. I chose to not buy another Dodge because for me personally, the first reason I didn't want to buy another one was because of the crowd that buy Dodges now. Like, I just don't want to be associated with them. I think that the crowd that buy Dodges now are just the younger generation of people who, you know, back in the day, this was like the people they called the Honda crowd. So the crowd is just not a crowd that I want to be in. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I don't want to be mixed in it. I don't see myself going back to Dodge anytime soon, as far as like a Charger or a Challenger. I just don't see myself being mixed in that crowd. Like, it's not who I am, and it's very toxic. The community is very toxic. So those are my 3 reasons that I jumped out of Dodge.
And you're really paying attention.
I think Dodge is going to just take the Demon with all the Demon goodies from 2018, trans brake, drag suspension, all of it, and maybe even a new Demon box, and just keeping it simple, keeping it cheap, and not reinventing the wheel. If the 7th edition is destined for the history books, it has to drop weight just like the Demon did, no insulation, remove the seats, skinny tires just like the Demon did back in 2018. It just makes too much sense that the Demon will be the basis for the 7th final edition. If some miracle they do bring this kit out and we get some kind of electric assisted supercharger, I fully believe Dodge will make a direct connection kit out of it. But let me know what you guys think. A revolutionary electric supercharger system when Dodge will even make an all-wheel drive Hellcat? Will the Demon return and have some Hellephant pieces? Leave this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Pick up some merch on your way out, and until the next video, I'm out.